Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hey Dad, Can You Talk podcast. I'm Bailey, I'm your host, and each week we call my dad Toby and we just have a fun short discussion about different things like parenting, marriage, mental wellness, things that everybody's struggling with or wants to talk to somebody about, but maybe you don't have that person to call. Well, I have been around for 34 years and I've been talking to my dad for most of those years about my struggles, and he just always has really great wisdom to share. And so we thought it would be helpful for you guys to get to peek in on these conversations and also get some of his wisdom. And so we're excited about these weekly conversations. We're excited you're here, and I'm looking forward to today's podcast. So let's get this show on the road. Let's call my dad.
Hello, Bailey, Diane Garner. What's up?
Dad, how are you?
I am just fine and dandy.
Good. You don't have your blurry screen on like you did last time, so I can see your nice decorations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm so technologically advanced. I want to, keep you guessing what you're going on over here.
Yes. Are you staying warm?
I am bald-headed and old, which is not a good combination for cold weather, but I'm finally starting to thaw out from my giddy fishing trip.
Oh, yes. You got to tell us a little about that. But I was going to say, at least we don't live in Buffalo, New York. Could be worse.
Yes, I've heard all about Buffalo from Gideon Thomas. He's infatuated with Buffalo.
No, they're having like a huge snowstorm, or at least at the moment that we're.
Yes, he's discussed this with me.
Oh, okay. So you took Gideon fishing.
Yes, we did. Went down the Gulf Coast and went down to Gulfport, and it was quite the scene, but it was a trip of a lifetime. We had a great time.
Good, but it was cold. And
yes, it was very cold.
Fish don't bite when it's cold.
They do not, but Gideon has to learn that from experience because, as we both know, this 7-year-old has got life figured out. And so I just said, let's just go and let him figure out that we don't like to fish when it's cold.
Exactly. Well, we are so excited because we are kicking off something that our team's been working on, and it is a holiday campaign called Not Alone.
Yay!
And yes, cue the confetti and the applause. Can you tell us a little bit about your heart behind why you felt like this was important and for Goby to come alongside people like this during the holidays and kind of what it's going to look like? Well,
yeah. I mean, for me, we all know that mental wellness or your mental health is one of the times of the year that it's the toughest. It comes during the holidays. The holidays kind of amplify everything. The sense of joy is high around these holidays for lots of us, and for lots of us, a sense of loss and the sense of pain gets amplified. And so I know that one of the greatest lies that many of us start to believe is that we're alone, that nobody else is struggling like we're struggling. Everybody's happy, but us, we use these absolute statements. And so I wanted us to spend some time doing whatever we could do as a Goby family to remind people that they're not alone. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I've done for years is had to deal with some guys, some men around the country that have my cell that text me on a scale of 1 to 5 how they're doing. And I just get it periodically from time to time. And I thought we could do a texting campaign where people could literally text in. And then we could do some live events where people could anonymously join in. And the culmination of that is going to happen on Christmas Day and on New Year's Day, because those 2 days are the days that everything is shut down. And I think that's when our loss gets even more amplified and our struggle gets even tougher. And so we want to have a place where we could digitally connect people from all over the country so that we could be reminded together that we're not alone and that God's with us and we can do hard things. But we're going to keep our eyes on the sun. And this is a way we're going to help others along the way. I'm pretty fired up about it.
Yeah. So we are
going to be having different focuses of things that can happen when you're feeling alone. In any aspect, especially over the holidays. But, I know that lots of people can feel alone today, leading up to the holidays. And we've talked a lot about things we can do proactively, obviously, in the last couple of episodes, but we're going to tackle some things that we've noticed that people feel, that lead to feeling alone, and one of those things, I know you talk about this often, but it's isolation, and it's people isolating. And how do people get to a point, do you feel like, of isolation?
Well, again, I think the big lie that many of us believe is we're the only one, right? We're the only one that are having these kind of struggles, or somehow our struggle is different than someone else's. And so you start listening to that lie, and what you do is, when pain comes, one of the things that pain does is it zaps your energy. You have to use a lot of your emotional energy just to fight through the pain. And so I get it. I get the fact that you're just trying to make it through the day. This is what I hear from people all the time, just trying to make it through the day. And I'm just in my house. I don't have the energy to talk to anybody. I don't have the energy to go out. And what I would say is that with the energy that you have to make sure that you are doing whatever you can do to not become the voice in your head, to be the only voice you're hearing. And, isolation always fires up your imagination. When your imagination starts going when you're by yourself, it's never a comedy. It's never a rom-com. It's always dark and worst case scenario. And over a period of time, if you stay in isolation and you let your imagination keep going, over time, you start believing that's truly going to happen, and you just kind of give up. So we call it isolation, imagination, resignation. And that's kind of the cycle that we get into. And so sometimes it's the smallest thing that can help you break out. It's just reaching out with a text to someone saying, hey, man, can you pray for me today? I'm having a tough day. To a phone call. But doing something to get outside of that little bubble that you've isolated yourself in. It's funny because you think you're protecting yourself. Hey, man, it's just all I have right now. And what you're actually doing is setting yourself up for a downward spiral that's even worse than it would have been if you'd have reached out.
So I heard you say, some things you can do is text somebody that call somebody. I've heard, though, people, you talk a lot about this on your TikTok, and people have responded and said, but I don't have any friends, or I don't have anyone to reach out to. What would you say to that person?
Well, that's a part of the reason that we've started this Not Alone campaign, is you say, well, I don't have anyone to reach out to. Well, yes, you do. Now you have us. There's a number that I know Bailey's going to give you here in a few minutes that you can text, and someone from our team, not a robot, not some automated service, you will get a text back from one of us. What I tell people that I've been involved in with this for quite a while is, I may not text you back right then, but you will hear back from me at some point. And so just knowing someone is reaching out, that's what I would say is you are the reason. If that's you are the reason we created this Not Alone campaign.
Yeah. And we also have, if, text feels a little bit scary, we have a email you can send, prayer@beagoby.com. And you can email us if you have a prayer request, and people will be talking to you. But our prayer is that you would take the first step of just texting. We're not gonna spam you with things. We're literally just here to talk to you, because Dad, you sent us that article, our team, about how loneliness is at an all-time high and how it affects your mental wellness. But not only that, it can lead to affect your physical things that you're struggling with. And when you sent me that, it just really hit home, that, if maybe someone listening, you're not feeling alone. but you don't know who around you is feeling alone. And so how can, like, thinking about how I can intentionally reach out to people, like with even if it's just a text of hope you're having a good day. I think sometimes we overcomplicate how, like, showing up for people.
Yeah, 100%. And the Not Alone campaign yes, it is directed toward people who are feeling isolated, who are struggling mentally, emotionally during the holidays. But it's equally important as it's galvanizing people to build a community of people who want to reach out to folks. And we've had several people say to us, well, what are you going to do if you get so many texts? Well, we're going to continue to call our friends to be a part of helping us reach out to people because, again, we help others along the way. It's in helping others that a power bigger and greater than us, I believe, is the power of God that comes and gives us something we don't have for ourselves. And so this is direct toward people who hurt, but it is also a call for people that help those who are hurting.
Was there ever a time in your mental wellness journey that you've walked on, but especially in the hardest, at the beginning, that you isolated yourself, and how did you notice that you were doing it? Because I think we could do it without thinking. Yeah,
I didn't. It's possible to be in a room with people and to be all alone. But how I was doing it was I was acting busy at work. I was closing the door to my office. I was telling your mother that I had stuff to do, and I might be a little late, and I'd stay a little bit later, and I'd come sit at the table with you guys at dinner, but I'd get enough strength to do that. But I wasn't connecting at a level with anyone in that season. And, I wasn't reaching out via cell, text, landline back then, or anyway to anyone. I was just, I understand. And what happens when you do that again is, man, then that voice in your head becomes the loudest voice in your head. And that's never a positive thing.
So people can hide their isolation with busyness.
Sure.
Is there other ways you've noticed people like mask their isolation?
I think just surface conversation. I would say a lot of times, I'm talking to people. Yeah, but what are you talking about? Or I'm talking about the Cowboys game the other night, or the so-and-so game, or the cold front coming in. We around here we call it the Cowboys and the weather because we live in Dallas. But you have conversations with people where we're exchanging information, but you're not sharing at a heart level with anybody.
So what if someone's listening and they're like, okay, I know this is so simple, but what can they say in a text or in a call to kind of start that climb out of isolation?
Wait, because I'm watching you. Most of you are listening, but what was that? Show me the climb again. It was like, are you a mouse? What is that?
I'm going up steps with my hands.
Oh, wow. So the text is, hey, most of the time the text is, hey, could you pray for me? That's what I would say. Hey, could you pray for me? It's having a rough day. And something just as simple as that is a way to reach out. And I think we are so worried about what other people are going to think, right, that we let the possibility that someone would judge us, pick your word there, that possibility, we allow that possibility to block us from the opportunity to get connected to people in a real way. And you could even text, hey, don't really want to talk about it right now. But I just wanted to ask you if you could pray for me. It's just been a rough week, and we'll talk soon. Just as a way so somebody can pick up the phone and call someone else, which I know your generation, that's like, the worst thing ever. But I just think those kind of words, reaching out, just a simple ask prayer requests is a way to begin, to build a connection to somebody else.
What if someone's listening and they have a feeling someone they love is isolating? They're not totally sure. They don't want to overstep. What can they do? Because what if they've texted and asked, are you doing, how are you? And they get a surface level response. What can that person do to help somebody they love in isolation?
Well, what you're asking me is how can I control the situation? The answer is you can't. All you can do is reach out. Really. You reach out. Mm-hmm. Hey, thinking about you today. Hope you're doing good. Anything I can be praying for you about? Mm-hmm. You hear nothing, or you hear, a surface level. You wait a couple of days and you text back, hey, just wanted you to know I was thinking about you, still thinking about you. And, the problem, the challenge is but you have to take responsibility for what you can take responsibility for. You got to work your side of the street, and your side of the street is reaching out on either side of that street, and how the other response can't be. Now, if we're talking about, a dire situation where we need to be calling a national hotline, that's a whole different thing. But I'm talking about somebody who's just struggling, like at a level that's not going to harm themselves or somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about, I have a friend who recently lost her mom, and went a really hard year of loss. And so this holiday season is going to be very hard. And I struggle with wanting to say like the perfect thing and wanting to know am I going to say something wrong? Am I, and I feel like I'm not usually like nervous to encourage people, but when someone's hurting, I never want to like offend them or say something insensitive, and so sometimes that stops me from reaching out to her, people like that are going through losses, because I don't always know what to say. And so what I hear you saying is just being like, I'm thinking about you and I love you is enough. And that's good for me to hear, because I think I can like get stuck in the not knowing what to say, and then I don't say anything.
Yeah, I think that's the case for lots of really good-hearted people who want to say something, but they're scared to say the wrong thing. And people don't really care near as much about what you say as they care that you reached out and just let them know you loved them, you cared about them, you're thinking about them.
Maybe today too, if you're listening, because I have a list of people in my head now, just because we're on this topic, that the holidays might be a really hard time, and for different reasons, from loss or situations. And it's easy when we get wrapped up in our holidays to forget about those people, but to write down a list and then to text them, or set reminders on your phone. I know you love to do that, to text them intentionally, because I want to do that. So maybe that's something that our listeners would do too, to be Gobies and help others along the way.
That's good. Sounds good, B.
Well, so we have a few things. We're going to put all this in the show notes, as Dad loves.
Notes. I love that word.
We would love for you to email prayer requests. We're all praying for our Gobies all the time, but we want to be intentionally praying during this holiday season. And we want to ask you guys if y'all would be praying for this campaign, that we would help people really not to isolate and not feel lonely, and to know that God's with them and people are with them. So if you have a prayer request for yourself or for other people, would you email us at prayer@beagoby.com so that we can be praying? We have some pretty strong prayer warriors on our team. So then also we're going to put the text number, like Dad said. We have a text. You can text us, and if you would just text the words "not alone" to this phone number that I'm going to read to you. Ready? Get your pen. It is going to be what? Whoa. Where did I write it down? It's going to be I wrote it. Oh, it's right here. Okay. 940 329 50 50 49.
49. Go again. Go slower. You're killing me.
940-329-5049. And like we said, just text the words "not alone" and we'll one of us, like a real person's going to respond and just be there so that you're not feeling lonely and talking to you. We're not here to be counselors. Like Dad said, we're not here for, there's text, there's numbers there's the suicide hotline. There's more, and we can point you to those things, but we're here just to be community with you and to show you that we're going to listen when you're struggling. Correct, Dad?
Yes, correct.
So we are really excited about this. And so the live event that we're doing is on Christmas Day at 11 a.m. Central Time and on New Year's Day at 11 a.m. Central Time. So we'll put the details of that also in the show notes so that you can make plans to be there with us. And also you can invite people, right, Dad?
Invite your friends, spread the word. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to do some lives leading up to those days. And I've got some of my friends that have been graciously have agreed to be a part. Some folks that many of you have heard of around the country know. So it'll be fun.
Yes. We are just so thankful that you guys are here with us. And when we talk about our Goby community, you guys, our podcast listeners, are some of our dearest people that we're thankful for. And so we know that you're going to be helping others along the way this holiday season. And we're grateful to get to do it with you.
Well, you know what we ought to do, B? We ought to let them know before anyone else about our new merch site.
Yes, we are having a merch site, actually, if hopefully you're on our email list and you already received this information, because this podcast is going to be coming out after we've launched it. But everything you need to know about the campaign and then also to shop our new Goby merchandise is on our website, beagoby.com. And it's going to have everything about the live events and then all the resources, the free resources we're providing and tools. But then also it'll have a little button that says Goby Store. And there is some amazing stuff in there that I know you're going to want. Like we've got unisex, we've got male, female, unisex, Dad, stop. Male, female, kids merch. There's some really cool, like home items like mugs and prints that you can hang on your wall and some hats and such. So what are you most excited about, Dad?
All of it. Every bit of it. Give me all of it.
So yes, beagoby.com. Go there. That's all I got.
Well, it's good to talk to you today, baby.
I know. It's good to talk to you. I'm excited for this campaign and to hear from our people and to keep talking about this topic that's hard to talk about for some people, but good. So
yeah, timely time. This part of the year for us to be talking about these things. So praying for everybody. Y'all take care. Talk to you soon, B.
Love you.
Love you.
Thank y'all for tuning in today. We are so grateful for you listening, and we are really excited about this next couple episodes that we're going to have. So please stay tuned. Ross is going to join us on a few. I know we gave you a lot of information at the end, so make sure you go to beagoby.com, beagoby.com, to keep up with all the things, and make sure you're a part of our newsletter too, so you won't miss anything. Reach out to someone today, help them to know that they're not alone, and we're praying for y'all. Love you. See you next week.